Go to your garden shed. Pick up that little plastic jar of rooting powder. Read the label. It promises to create roots instantly. It costs you $15 for a few grams of white dust. But what if I told you that you are holding a cheap imitation? What if I told you that the chemical inside that jar is just a synthetic copy of something that nature invented millions of years ago? The industry calls it Indolebutyric Acid. They synthesize it in a lab from petroleum byproducts. They put it in a fancy bottle with a bright logo, and they sell it to you as a miracle invention. But it is not an invention. It is plagiarism. There is a tree growing near the riverbanks that produces this exact same compound for free. And it produces it in a form that is far superior to anything a chemist can mix in a test tube. Welcome to Ancestral Garden, where we dig up the forbidden knowledge that modern agriculture tried to bury. Today, we are going to bypass the cash register. We are going to learn how to extract the most powerful rooting hormone on Earth directly from the source. The willow tree. Scientific name, Salix. For 2,000 years before the first chemical company was even born, farmers used willow water to heal their plants. They didn't know the molecular structure, but they knew the magic. You see, the willow has a secret. It is a desperate survivor. If you snap a branch off a willow tree and throw it in the mud, it does not die. It fights. It immediately floods its tissues with a massive surge of hormones to generate new roots. It refuses to surrender to death. And today, we are going to hack that survival mechanism. We are going to steal that biological code and transfer it to your roses, your fruit trees, and your cuttings. We are going to replace a dead chemical powder with a living biological weapon. But to do that, you first need to understand the weapon you are holding. It is a double-edged sword. Because the willow gives us not just one, but two powerful compounds that work in perfect synergy. But before we unlock the chemistry, we must respect the history. This is not a new discovery. This is a rediscovery. Long before modern scientists looked through a microscope, the indigenous people of North America knew the code. They didn't have pharmacies. They had the willow. When a warrior had a fever or a woman was in pain during childbirth, they did not swallow a pill. They chewed the bark of the willow tree, and the pain vanished. Across the ocean in ancient Greece, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, was prescribing the exact same bark to his patients 2,400 years ago. Why am I telling you this? Because the pharmaceutical giants did not invent aspirin. They copied it. They isolated the active ingredient from this tree, synthesized it, patented it, and sold it back to the world. But they left something behind. When you isolate a chemical, you lose the synergy. The ancient farmers knew that this painkiller worked on plants, too. They understood a fundamental truth that modern agriculture ignores. Plants feel pain. When you take a cutting, you are performing surgery. You are severing a limb. You are creating an open wound that is wet, exposed, and terrified. The plant goes into shock, and this is where the willow performs its miracle. It provides a double-edged weapon that no commercial powder can match. Compound number 1 is the healer, salicylic acid. This is the ancient painkiller. When you soak your cutting in willow water, you are essentially giving it an immune system transplant. It triggers the plant's defense mechanism. It fights off the bacteria. It prevents the rot. Compound number 2 is the builder, Indolebutyric Acid. This is the hormone that screams at the stem cells to become root cells. The commercial powders only give you the builder. They force growth on a sick patient. But willow water gives you the healer and the builder together. It stops the infection and then creates the roots. It is a perfect biological alliance. Growth and defense, speed and safety. You cannot buy this combination in a store. You have to brew it. But you cannot just go outside and rip a branch off a tree. There is a strict protocol for harvesting. If you choose the wrong branch, you get nothing but dirty water. You have to find the green wood. Most people fail here. They go for the thick old branches because they look strong. That is a mistake. The old wood is dormant. The hormones have gone to sleep. You need the shoots from this year. The bark should be smooth. green or yellow, flexible. This is where the biological engine is running at full speed. Cut these shoots about the thickness of a pencil, then remove every single leaf. We don't need the foliage. The leaves are just distractions. We need the concentrated energy hidden in the skin. Now, bring them to the kitchen. We are going to perform an extraction. Take your pruning shears and cut the stems into small pieces, about 2 or 3 centimeters long. You are maximizing the surface area. You are exposing the inner veins. Place them in a heat-proof glass jar. Now we are going to hack time. The traditional method requires soaking the wood in cold water for 3 weeks to slowly leach out the chemicals. But we don't have 3 weeks, so we use heat. Pour boiling water over the stems, just like you are brewing a strong tea. The heat ruptures the cell walls instantly. It forces the plant to surrender its chemical secrets into the water. Seal the jar, place it in a dark corner, and wait for 24 hours. When you return, the water will have turned a deep amber color. It will smell like earth and medicine. Strain the wood pieces out. What you have left in that jar is liquid gold. You have successfully distilled the essence of survival. But holding the weapon is not enough. You have to know how to aim it. There are 2 strategic ways to use this elixir. One is for creation, and one is for resurrection. Strategy number 1 is creation. This is the protocol for rooting new cuttings. Most people make a mistake here. They treat willow water like the chemical powder. They just dip the cut end into the liquid for 2 seconds and stick it in the soil. That is not enough. Remember, this is not a chemical coating. It is a biological medicine. You need to let the plant drink. Take your fresh cuttings of roses, tomatoes, or fruit trees. Place them in a cup of your undiluted willow water. Let them soak for 4 to 6 hours. During this time, the cutting is absorbing the solution into its vascular system. It is pulling the Indolebutyric acid deep into its stem cells to trigger root growth. But more importantly, it is absorbing the salicylic acid. It is vaccinating itself against the rot that is waiting in the soil. You are essentially giving the plant a loaded immune system before the battle begins. After the soak is finished, take them out and plant them in your soil immediately. Strategy number 2 is resurrection. This is the secret application that 90% of gardeners do not know. Have you ever dug up a plant to move it to a new spot, or bought a tree from a nursery and planted it in your yard, and 2 days later the leaves turn yellow and droop? The plant stops growing. We call this transplant shock, but biologically it is a panic attack. The roots have been disturbed and the plant is releasing stress hormones that tell it to shut down. This is where willow water acts as a tranquilizer. For this method, you do not need full strength. Dilute your willow water. Mix 1 cup of the elixir with 1 gallon of regular water. Use this mixture to water the root zone of your stressed plant. The aspirin component calms the panic. It blocks the stress signal. It tells the plant system that the danger is over and it is safe to start drinking again. You can watch a dying plant come back to life in less than 48 hours. Now a note on storage. Because this is a living product with no preservatives, it will not last forever. Pour any leftover elixir into a glass jar and keep it in your refrigerator. It will stay potent for 30 days. If it starts to smell sour or bubbly, throw it on your compost pile and brew a fresh batch. It is free, so you can afford to be generous. So here is the final verdict. By brewing this water, you just saved $15. But this is not about the money. It is about independence. We have been trained to believe that we need a corporate product to solve every problem in our lives. We have been trained to trust the label on a bottle more than the tree in our backyard. But today, you broke that cycle. Every time you brew a batch of willow water, you are cutting a tie with the industrial system. You are proving that the most advanced technology is not found in a factory. It is found in the forest. You are reclaiming the knowledge that your ancestors used to survive. Your garden is not just a food source, it is a pharmacy. And you are the chemist. Do not let them sell you what you can make for free. If you are ready to stop buying and start brewing, I need you to sign your name in the comments. Type the password Nature provides. Type it in bold. Let the algorithm know that we are taking control back. Like this video to spread the signal. Subscribe to Ancestral Garden. My name is the Guardian, and the class is dismissed.